You want to hear about my mission story, huh? I'll tell you about my mission. You jerk face, huh? You jerk face, huh? I swear to heck I'm not gosh.
Drinking something.
You want to tell me?
At the same
Oh! So,
idea what to say.
I don't know what to do either.
No, I do. So,
Don't be like Kwaku, people. Don't do that.
So, Spencer, you came back from your mission early.
I did. Yep, I did.
Well, that's what this episode's about. So tell us a story.
Wait.
By the way, Spencer and I are friends. He's not a random person I've just met today. That would be insensitive of me. So, anyway, your story. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So we're talking about kind of early release missionaries, and I volunteered to come on and just kind of talk about my story and maybe talk about what we can do kind of as a church to help early release missionaries. It's really hard to get them kind of incorporated back into life and to understand like how to approach them and how to treat them sometimes. And so I thought I'd come on and kind of just give my perspective of that. So like Kwaku mentioned, I came back from my mission early. I was originally assigned to serve in the Guatemala City East Mission. And I served there from about September of 2014 to April of 2015.
Guatemala, San Salvador, El Salvador, Managua, Nicaragua, San Jose, Costa Rica. You didn't learn that song?
I never learned that song, no.
I failed Spanish class. Miss Silva gave me an F both semesters. And I took Latin. I failed that too.
You served a Spanish-speaking mission, though, right?
I did.
That's awesome. Where'd you serve?
I was in Chihuahua, Mexico.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
not part of the song.
I love Mexico. I had a Mexican companion. Shout out to Elder Yama.
I've been fired from 3 Mexican restaurants.
It's like whenever we're
That
talking
works.
about positive things, like Kwaku's just like, I had this horrible thing happen to me. Or like, I got
Gringos,
kicked out of
Mexican
this
Kitchen,
place.
Los Hermanos, Joe Veras. Got fired from all 3.
Anyways, so you were in Guatemala.
Yes, I was in Guatemala. I was in Guatemala for 8 months, and I came home for 5 months. I was home from April 2015 to October of 2015. And then I actually resubmitted my papers, my application to be missionary again, and I served from October 2015 to March of 2017. I actually ended up extending about 3 weeks near the end of my mission, so it was pretty cool. It was a great experience.
Cool. Okay.
So like I said, I originally served in Guatemala, and just to kind of give, I guess background to that, I just had some kind of traumatic things happen to me in the MTC. Just some things, lots of things were my fault, lots of things were other people's fault. And I kind of went out through the rest of my mission. I developed a very acute depression, very acute anxiety, and minor post-traumatic stress disorder, actually. It just wasn't a good environment for me, you know? Yeah. And I talked to my mission president about the best thing that I could do, and he just said, if I talk to the missionary department about everything that's been going on with you, I had talked to him for a long time. He says, if I talk to them about what's been going on with you, I think that it's like walking into an airport with a gun, like they're just going to do something about it. And so I had to come home, and he called the missionary department, and lo and behold, I had to come home from my mission. So I think I came on specifically because I think it's important that we talk about how to treat early release missionaries. I don't know if you guys know anything. I know anybody that's come home early from their missions or...
Yeah. Our friend Jackson, who was on this show once, just came back from his mission early too.
Yeah. I think it's important that we talk about, I think it's important that we mention that missionaries come home for lots of different reasons. And that's the first thing. Not everybody comes home for worthiness issues. Lots of missionaries, at least these days, come home for kind of health issues, either and a lot of times relating to emotional issues.
So how did your family react to you coming home and your friends in your ward?
So my family reacted pretty well. When I came home from Guatemala, I had to go from the Guatemala City airport to the Los Angeles airport because that's the international hub, and then go back to Salt Lake City. And my parents actually met me at the airport in Los Angeles to fly home with me back to Salt Lake City so that they could talk to me. And my mom and dad were really great. They're actually serving as mission presidents right now in the Georgia Atlanta North Mission. My dad basically said to me, Spencer, when you come home, you can expect the following. You can expect 80% of people to not care why you're home. They're just going to love you. They won't care. They won't get into your life. 10% of people will actually kind of be happy that you're home. Sometimes people like to see other people fail because that's just kind of how life is. I think that there's just people out there that are like that. And then 10% of people will make an awkward attempt to help you. So you kind of have to expect that kind of going in. And lo and behold, I think he was spot on, you know. My mom definitely kind of went back and forth. She says, if you want to stay home, I totally accept that, and I love you, and I won't care anymore, but I do kind of want you to go back out, so think about that. And this was kind of on the airplane or just within a couple days of me coming home. I actually told her that I did want to finish my mission. I told her when I was coming back from Los Angeles that I did want to finish my mission. But there were other people that obviously, like my dad said, that made an awkward attempt to help me. People coming up to me in church on Sunday saying, when are you going back? And I'm just like, I don't know. You know, I'm still kind of making that decision. I mean, I feel good about going back, but, you know, just kind of cool your jets, you know. And I think that's important, you know, that we don't. I guess if you want to really help missionaries, I think that the most important thing is just to kind of love them and kind of support them in whatever decision that they make.
Yeah. You just got to kind of have a little tact, I think, with like your questions. Because it's like,
for sure.
Like it's kind of popular nowadays, like don't ask newlyweds when they're having kids. Like,
right.
I've heard that a lot lately because like you don't know if they can have kids, you know, or what their plans are. And you just want to avoid any kind of wrong assumptions.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
So, question.
Yeah.
How is your testimony affected by you coming home early?
My testimony, I think, was pretty fine. I mean, we all go through hard things in life, and I think it's important that we don't. I think it's important that we don't make it so that hard things will kind of decrease the strength of our testimony. I think that it should show that Heavenly Father is willing to trust us and willing to say, like, when push comes to shove, I think that you'll choose me when He allows these types of things to happen. I did have kind of a little bit of a faith crisis because I really wanted to know if God was really there. That I think that's kind of natural too. I think that we all do have questions, but I think that's important that we try and kind of maybe separate maybe our doubts from our questions when it comes to that. And my crisis of faith there didn't really happen. It wasn't any sort of like intellectual thing, and it wasn't like a family member passing away. It was more just like, what's God's plan for my life right now, and what am I supposed to do with my life right now? Because I came home and I really didn't have any. I planned to go back out, and I didn't have like anything to do in the meantime for those 5 months. I took a Spanish class. I went and I got my phlebotomy license, and yeah. But I mean, like you come home, right? It was cool. So. I mean, you come home, and I mean, if you, especially if you plan on going back out, you're kind of in limbo. You know, you can't necessarily start dating someone because then you kind of have to peace out.
Yeah.
You can't start school because then you have to quit. You can't start a job because you have to quit. And so that was kind of hard. Was like I had a lot of time to think, and I just had a lot of time to think about like what is my purpose and is God actually working in my life right now. And eventually, those experiences do come. You kind of have to be patient. But I think that God is very mindful of missionaries. I think He's very mindful of early release missionaries.
How was it going back?
It
was it? I've always wondered this because
yeah.
Part of me always said if I knew what a mission would be like, it would have been a lot harder to actually go because missions are really hard.
Yeah.
Was it really hard to go again?
It was really difficult to go back out. Even when I was planning to do it, and when I was really planning to go back out and try and finish my mission, it was still difficult. I was really nervous about having to work with companions again. I'd had some companions I didn't feel like I worked with very well in Guatemala. I was very nervous about getting back into missionary life and having all that stress on. And I can remember going to the airport and my parents dropping me off at the airport, and I was actually like walking into the terminal, and like I just remember kind of like bending over and just kind of grabbing my knees and thinking, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do, you know? But I went back out, and I had a great first companion who helped me out so much. He was a great coach. Shout out to Elder James Clark. And I was able to get back into missionary life just kind of little by little as people just kind of respected me and just helped me. But I ended up having a great mission. I extended it at the end, so I loved it enough that I wanted to stay for a little bit longer. So
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, all right.
The main issue surrounding early return missionaries is that they feel judged a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also, like, this is on a practical note, like, girls. Like, all the girls at, like, BYU or, you know, do you go to school at BYU right now?
I did, yeah.
You did?
I was just there this last semester, and I'll be going there this fall, so.
And I know a lot of early return missionaries have problems there because like girls won't date them because they didn't finish a mission. Did you experience that, or what happened there?
Since I finished my mission 2017 and then didn't start school at BYU until the fall of 2018, I really didn't experience a lot of that. But I do know that people do experience that. And I think that's kind of reflective of an attitude of like, you know, like it's a question of like, did you serve an honorable full-time mission if you didn't really complete the full time you were supposed to be there? I would say, you know, and I would say that that's an attitude I think that probably needs to be adjusted within a few people's minds. I think I don't want to discourage. It's kind of tricky because I don't want to discourage any missionaries from going out and actually finishing their time if they do come home. Because I did, and I think it was the best decision I've made in my life, and I think that it was hard, but it was only hard for a short amount of time before I actually like got back into it and was able to deal with it and was able to work hard and have a great mission. But I think that some people decide not to. Some people, between them and the Lord, they just decide that it's not the best option for them, for their health and for where they're at in life right now. And I think that we just kind of need to respect everybody's experiences as far as that goes, because it's a deeply personal decision. It's one that I encourage people to really go out and try and finish their mission. But if they don't, then I think that, you know, I don't think that that's reflective of them in any way, more just reflective of the decisions that they've made between themselves and God.
In the category of returned missionaries that come home early, you've got those that are going to go back out like you did, and you've got those that decide not to.
Right.
What would you say to each of those groups, or maybe the same thing to both of them? What advice would you give them?
Oh boy, to those that come home early and decide to stay home early, I would make sure that you have good resources around you. Make sure that you know who your circle of support and influence is, and make sure that you're utilizing the resources that are given to you. Especially those that come home for mental health, for anxiety or depression. I did therapy, and I think that therapy was super important for me. I think that if we have a broken bone, if we have like a broken ankle, then we go and we get it fit, we get a cast and we get it fixed, right? And if we have broken emotional health or mental health, I think it's important that we find the right professionals to help us out with that.
We got to get over that stigma of therapy,
medication. Yeah, exactly. I think also to get involved in everything you possibly can. Make sure to stay involved at a singles ward or at your home ward, wherever you're living right now. Go ask the bishop for a calling. Make sure that you're involved in church, and make sure that you're doing things that will keep your testimony strong. Share the gospel as much as you can. When I came home from California from my full 2 years, I actually went to the local mission home in the Salt Lake City East Mission, and I picked up pamphlets from them. I went to their supply office and picked up pamphlets from them, and I've actually passed out a couple pamphlets. You know, when I was home from Guatemala, I tried to do the same thing. I tried to just share the gospel with as much people as possible and do the missionary work that I thought would be beneficial to me while I was home. And that would be general advice I would give. Oh, and be kind to people. Be charitable to people who will come up to you. I mentioned earlier that my dad told me that 10% of people will make an awkward attempt to help you. Be really charitable to the people who are doing that, because they're not trying to hurt you, and they're not trying to make you feel bad about who you are or what's happened to you. I think that you just kind of have to let people do the good that they see before their eyes, right?
Yeah.
I remember one woman. I love her to death. She came up to me and she was so funny. She was like asking me questions. She was like, "How are you doing? Are you gonna go back to school? Are you gonna date? Whatever." But then just kind of out of nowhere, her face changes, and then she just goes, "When are you going back?" And I'm saying, "Well, I don't really know." So I think that she had good intentions, and she just wanted to motivate me to stay committed. So yeah, be charitable to the people around you.
And the people that are jerks. Let me tell you something, huh? Let me tell you something. You come around here, you talk to me like that, you're gonna give you the 1-2 buckle in your face. Right there. Huh? You wanna lose some of these knockers right there in your mouth? Oh, what's up with no?
He always goes to like a New Yorker accent.
I got a question.
I got a question for you.
I've been Canadian lately, though. Well, anyway, we're really thankful that Spencer could come on the show here and talk about, you're in Guatemala, then you went to LA, then you went to Salt Lake City, then you went to Provo, then you went to Guatemala. So we're really thankful for that. And, if you meet anyone who's a jerk, who's like, hey, you came back from mission early, really you should just push them off a cliff. But we're really thankful for everything that's happened, and make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. the show, share it to people. Hey, and if you did return early, we're happy you're watching because we think you're great. Anyway, you guys there have some maple leaves? I don't know.
In your belt?